Hey, what's up, everybody? Isaac here, Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be with you on another fun episode of the Civil Engineering Academy podcast. I'm excited to talk to you today. It's just going to be a solo episode. One of the topics that I hear all the time is how busy we are. Every one of us is busy, whether you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a student, you're an executive, you're a working professional. Everybody is busy, which is kind of funny because with all the time-saving apps that we have at our disposal, we end up still being extremely busy in our life and trying to manage our time. So today I wanted to talk about a little tip that I have for those preparing for the FE and the PE exam, and that is trying to get ourselves into the habit of really finding ourselves in doing deep work, not just busy work. And so I have some tips regarding that, talking about staying productive in a deep work kind of state versus just being busy running around all the time. So this is the episode that we're going to talk about. It's going to be good stuff, and it's going to be coming up right after this. Whoop. So a recent survey was done of over 10,000 global workers, and 58% of them say that they spend most of their day doing busy work. So what is busy work? Busy work is answering your emails, reviewing your emails, doing tasks that aren't getting anything done or moving the needle, doing reviews on things that just aren't really deep work settings that move the needle in terms of what you should be doing in your life, or really the creative and engineering work that maybe you should be doing at your workplace. All of us can be busy. We can be busy all the time. I can sit here and, look at Facebook and Instagram and answer emails, feel like I'm busy, but really just feels like I'm running on a treadmill, not really going anywhere, versus maybe a marathon with a set destination and a goal that I have in mind of maybe trying to break a record in a time. I've actually run a few marathons myself, and I can tell you that when you set a goal like that, it is definitely no easy feat, but it can be done, but it requires another level of effort. Usually if you're on a treadmill, sometimes it's easy to quickly look, how far you've gone, or get discouraged and just turn it off and move on very quickly. But when you set a goal and you have your eyes focused on that goal, and you take the steps to get there, including doing some deep work, I think you can be very productive in order to do that. So the big question is, how do we prevent ourselves from being busy all the time and really stay focused and getting ourselves into a state of deep work? And this is very applicable for those that are studying for their FE or PE exam, because we have to get back into that mode of doing homework problems and really studying hard as you're preparing for these big exams. Because if you're just glossing over stuff, or you're just listening to something and you're thinking you're going to get it between your ears, it's just not going to stick. And so I've seen many students, many engineers that go through the motions of preparing to pass and then just never seem to be able to get over the hump. So the question is, what are you really learning? How are you really internalizing this information and really getting this deep work state that I'm talking about? So I'm going to share a couple tips with you to get into that state and make sure that we get on the same page with that. So hopefully you can ace these exams or anything else that you've got going on in your life, whether you're creative, creating a new something that you've got in mind, whether it's at work, trying to be more productive and really shutting down the things that are busy distractions and really focusing on the things that will help move the needle. So let's share a couple of those tips. All right, so there are really two main things that we need to do when we're focusing on deep work. And the first one that I can think of is that we have to remove distractions that are really going to take us away from an environment that's really going to set us up for success. So if you have distractions that are going on, and that could include, maybe you don't do well with music as you study, maybe that's a distraction. Don't have a computer maybe in front of you, although that might be a challenge with a computer-based testing exam because you need to have the handbook in front of you. But if you have a million tabs open and some of those are social media or YouTube, and you get stuck down a rabbit hole of checking those things out, then that's a huge distraction. And one of the main challenges and goals with deep work is really to eliminate the distractions that you have going on. So that is the first thing that you need to know, and that's the first challenge, is to remove the distractions in your study session. The second one that you need to really focus on is, how do we focus more intensely on what we're doing, on the study session that you have. So if we can develop an ability to focus for longer periods of time, then you have really set yourself up for success. So the ability to focus on something for a longer period of time, and the ability to remove distractions from your setting, will really set you up for success as you start looking into doing deep work. All right, let's talk about concentration. Now, the ability to concentrate is really like a muscle, and it needs to be exercised. Studies have been done that people that are well versed in doing some deep concentration can really do it about 4 hours a day. So if you can set up a time, block off time to really do some deep concentration, and maybe you're a novice at doing this, or if you've gone through school, you really know what this means. But if you've been out of practice for a while, maybe you can just do it for an hour. An hour a day is really kind of what the novice level might be of really trying to concentrate. We have these little devices in our pocket all the time. How many times do you check that phone every single day? I'm guilty of it. But really, it kind of trains our brains and our minds to have an addiction to this distraction in our pocket, always checking it all the time. And if we can remove that distraction and figure out how we can block off time to focus and concentrate, that's really going to set you up for success. So we really have to think about, how can we exercise the ability to concentrate? And in order to study for the PE or FE exam, you have to be able to concentrate. And that's really something you need to start exercising early. If you've been out of practice for a while, start the practice of concentrating by doing problems and seeing how long you can focus on doing those. All right, so the next tip is to basically focus on your goals. So if your goal is to pass the PE exam or the FE exam, make sure that that goal is cemented in your brain, because your resistance to temptations to get into distractions and all those other things that could pull you away from concentrating and doing some deep work they really get diminished when you set a big hairy goal like that. And each of you should have that if you're preparing for those exams. So definitely something that you need to focus on, but really that applies to anything else in your life. If you have a serious goal that you want to achieve, all those other distractions will go away so that you can provide opportunities for you to concentrate. All right, some specific strategies for deep work. Number one is definitely make it a ritual. Don't make it about willpower, because you probably fail every single time. Make it about a ritual, and what that means is basically scheduling time to do it. Block that off, whether it's early in the morning or late at night, wherever you can do that. Make sure it's a spot where you're free of those distractions. But make it a ritual. Don't make it about willpower, thinking that you can just power through this and just do it. Create a schedule for it, and you'll have a much better chance of success. All right, another tip that I have for you regarding deep work is to set up an environment that you're going to have success with. This could be your library, where every time you go there, you're going to be doing some deep work or studying that you have going on. It could be your kitchen table. It could be an office that you have. It could be your coat closet or your clothes closet. I've seen pictures of that, of people studying for the PE, and the best place they can go is their closet full of clothes. So find out which area that you need to really hammer on as your go-to spot for study, and make sure that is the environment that is set up for success and for you to do some deep work, deep study time. All right, another tip that I have for you is that if we know that there is really a cap on how much deep work you can actually do, it really doesn't make sense to schedule more than 4 hours. If you've got that much time to do any more than that. So if you do have time on a Saturday, maybe you block off 4 hours to really nail your study time down. But know that past 4 hours, things start to get a little gray. And this is really why it might be hard to study during the work week when you're putting in a lot of work, although most of that work sometimes is busy work. But if you are doing any sort of deep type of work at your workplace, it might be hard to get into study mode because your mind just might not be there. Maybe it's turned into mush, you know what I mean? Long day, I get it. But the truth is if you can squeeze in an hour or two during the week, you'll be way ahead of the game, and just make sure that you can schedule time to do some deep study during that time. All right, the last tip that I have for you is to create a shutdown ritual at the end of the day. So many of you do this maybe at your workplace where you actually shut things down. And I know with COVID and the remote work thing, a lot of people are doing remote work. Maybe that's hard to do, to disconnect what you're doing for your workplace with actually leaving it alone and switching over to study mode, or trying to get into this deep study mode to do deep work. And that can be hard. So what you have to do is set up a ritual of shutting things down. And maybe that's a checklist of things that you need to do. Maybe it's a review of a to-do list that maybe you need to do for the next day, which is always a good thing to do. Review what you need to do for the next day. Maybe it's shutting down your computer to make sure that the thing is shut down. You're not going to get back onto it again. You could check your email one last time and make sure there's not any loose ends that are out there, and make sure things are buttoned up that way. And so, you're giving yourselves all these cues, and you're literally telling yourself that you are shutting this stuff down, right? And that is a ritual that you should be doing daily in order to move on from that into what you need to do, which is set up an environment for some deep work and some deep study. So those are the tips that I have for you in order to become more productive, in order to find yourself not just being busy all the time or doing shallow type of things, but in order to set yourself up with an environment that'll allow you to flourish doing some deep study and translating that to studying for your FE or your PE exam. So those are the tips I've got for you. Hopefully they were helpful to you, if I can even speak. If you're liking this stuff, make sure you definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like or some comments if you're listening to this as a podcast, wherever you're at. And definitely check us out at civilengineeringacademy.com. We have resources built for you to help you ace your FE exam, your civil PE exam, and we're working on some other stuff too, which is pretty exciting. So getting close to wrapping up our seismic stuff. So if anybody's taking the exams in California, we got some good stuff coming. But definitely check us out, and if you do need practice exams, again, check us out, civilengineeringacademy.com. Anyway, hope these tips were helpful. Now we'll get out there and go crush it with some study time. See ya. Boom. Hello. How's it go? See you in a few. What? Bye. Gotta go. See you next time.